Upstate golf guys, here we go. Anthony Rogers, steal the show. RGB, Florida Mike on the scene. Hollywood Mikey, living the dream. Eagle, birdie, par, bogey, fly. Swing that club, watch it sky. Lombardi putter shine so clean. Golfing addicts chasing the green. Scrounge up balls from trouble spots, off the tee or random plots. Long drive legend with a grin. Grip it, rip it, let's begin. We're the crew you can't outdrive. Golf obsession keeps us alive. Buzzing by in a golf cart spree. Talking swing, sipping iced tea. Eagle, birdie, par, bogey, fly. Swing that club, watch it sky. Lombardi putter shine so clean. Golfing addicts chasing the green.
And welcome back to another episode of the Upstate Golf Guys podcast. We have a really special episode for you guys. But before we get the ball rolling, I just want to give my affiliates a quick shout out. Make sure you go over and check out Trouble Off the Tee. They have an awesome line of hats that have real funny slang. There's funny wording on them for all us hackers out there. If you go check it out, you'll see what I'm talking about, like never lay up, things like that. I love the Trouble Off the Tee line. It's troubleoffthetee.com and use Upstate 20 at checkout to save yourself a little cash. And then, of course, don't forget about Lombardi Golf Putters. He has a fine line of putters from mallets to center shafts, and you could get some for pretty cheap, guys. They work, man. They put the ball in the hole. And again, if you use code UPSTATE, you can save yourself 30% at checkout. But we have a really awesome episode tonight, guys. We've got a slightly different podcast this week. We're going to go into a specific country club, a specific course, and we're going to give the listeners a few clues before we get the ball rolling. It's been called by the Golf Digest a hidden jewel of the Northeast. And it's one of the top 10 courses in upstate New York. That's an incredible high praise for a course in the Capital District. It's a course that was designed by Walter Travis, one of the most iconic designers in the long history of the game. And the final clue, Mike, the final clue is it's the course's 100th anniversary. Do you think you could guess the country club, Mike?
I think I'd love to hear it. I'm curious.
All right, buddy. The final answer, it's one of my, it's in my hometown. It's in my hometown. It is the Country Club of Troy. And we're happy to be joined today by two longtime members of the Country Club of Troy to discuss the Centennial celebration, the long history of the club, and its future. Tom FARNAN is the president of the Country Club and has been a member for 16 years. John O'Connor, who is a past president at the Troy Country Club and a member of 40 years, they're joining us tonight, and really appreciate you guys for hopping on, Tom and John. Thanks for coming on, guys.
It's my pleasure.
Absolutely. Happy to join. Thank you.
Well, 100 years. Wow, man. That's a huge deal. Tom, let's get started with you, man. What events do you have planned to celebrate for 100 years?
Yeah, we've got quite a few this year, and the planning's been underway for probably the better part of 2 years plus. We've got a great committee headed up by Sue Oster and Leslie King, and actually, I think, John, it started probably towards the end of your presidency, which I think wrapped up at the end of 2022.
That's correct.
I became president in 2023, and John had already got the committee together at the end of 2022. So 2+ years, a lot of work behind the scenes, and we got a lot of great things planned this year. As you know, in the Northeast, we're just getting rolling here in April, and we'll officially kick our events off in May. We've got a big we got our annual porch opener. We got a beautiful porch and lawn outside the clubhouse that adjoins the pool area. And every May we have a huge party to kick that off. This year we're making it a Centennial porch opener kickoff. Have a special guest, which John could probably expand upon. We've got Graham Baxter, world-renowned artist, golf artist that is just completed a year-long painting for the club that will be given to the club for the Centennial. And we've got a dedication that same night of our Verding clock. So the famous clocks that you see at all the famous courses around the world. We've got a special Centennial one being installed here within the next few weeks. So we'll do a dedication on that on May 16th. So we'll have the porch opener. We'll dedicate the clock. Graham Baxter will be there in person to unveil the painting. So that's kicking off the official kickoff 5 months into the Centennial, but that's when things around the club get rolling, you know? So
Nice.
yeah.
John, do you have anything to touch on that?
Just a little bit about Mr. Baxter. Graham Baxter is of Scottish descent. He's now transplanted. He lives outside of Dallas. He is the official painter for the Open, for the Ryder Cup, for the U.S. Open. He's done 60 courses throughout the world, and he's known as a really landscape painter who takes fine detail. And he came to the course last summer, spent 3 days on the course, took 800 pictures, and then there was a group of us decided he selected 4 shots of paintings that he thinks would be best represent our course. And it's a stunning painting he has done. So it's going to be really nice. But he has done all the top ones: Cypress, Pebble, Pinehurst. He's done Wentworth. He's done, the old course. So he's quite a known character, and I mean in a good sense character.
Wow, that's awesome.
He knows what he does. He knows what he's doing. So
I'm still kind of amazed that he's doing Country Club of Troy. I mean, it's a huge. John pretty much took the ball and ran with this one, but the fact that he's doing Country Club of Troy, when you get to know his works, it's in the people he knows on a first name basis. The greats of the game. It's really pretty special.
He's done Nicholas. He's done Nicholas. He's done a lot of the individual paintings. He's done the King Charles. So he's quite a talent.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's really cool. So John, being a member for more than 40 years, I'm sure you have a lot of history behind it. How did it get started over there, and when did it get started? Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. It started in 1925, in the summer of 1925, and there were really no places to play, and we always use this term in the capital region, that side of the river. So courses were always on the other side of the river. So there were 3 individuals that got together one summer day on a porch over in the city of Troy. And the first guy was Livingston Houston, who was the president of RPI. There was the second chap, Frank Norton, and I'm not sure his background. And the third was a gentleman, Charles Stone, who was a Wall Street. He was a stockbroker. And they decided to figure out, okay, we need something on this side of the river. So what they did is they decided on that summer night to go out and figure out how we can get a club in Troy. So they reached out. At that time, Troy was the 6th largest city in the state. It was very, very wealthy, a lot of industrial activity going on. So they went to their friends and they said, we need some money to pony up. So they raised a little over $250,000, which in today's number, and I think I got it right, is about $4 million.
Wow.
And they said, okay, now we got the money. Now we got to find a place to do it. So they did some searching around, and they came up to this property right there. That's our course. That's a 1931 aerial of our course. If you see the lower left, that is where the clubhouse is and the pool, and behind that is a tennis court. So what they did is they said, okay, now we got to find some land. At that point in time, the Forest Park Cemetery, which started in the 1896, I believe, in that range, that was going to be the grandest cemetery in upstate New York. Well, it fell on hard times, so they were bankrupt. So what they did is they bought 200 acres of land from the Forest Park Cemetery, and they needed more land. So they went and they negotiated with 7 different farmers to buy the land. So right now we are 325 acres of land between Route 2 and Pinewoods Avenue is the expanse that we have. Of that, we use about, Tommy, you can help me out, I think it's about 175.
Yeah. I was going to say 180.
Yeah,
is
180
used.
for the course.
Yep.
And then we have other lands for the tennis, the clubhouse, the parking lot, and all that.
Yeah. So 100 years, does that make you guys one of the oldest clubs in the area?
We're one of the oldest, yeah, but we're not the oldest. I mean, if you look at Wilfred Droost is older, Van Skyke is older. So there are older courses. The little course, the Golf and Polo Club at Saratoga, the 9-hole course, that's an 1890, late 1890s. During that time, most of the courses, a lot of the courses were 9-hole courses, not 18-hole courses. They started at 9, and then they transferred out to get bigger.
Okay. Nice. So I know it's a Travis design course.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of amazing things about Travis design courses. What really makes his courses truly special and different?
Well, Travis is, and Tommy, you can jump in at some point. Travis is really a Renaissance guy. He's an Australian. He came over. He worked for a hardware company in Melbourne. They needed somebody to run the New York City office. He came over at 26, 27, and he was a businessman first. Then they sent him back to London to help out the London shop, and he saw this stupid game where people were hitting things around with a club and a ball. And he found out that his club was going to start a golf course down on Long Island. So he took it up. So he's not only a business guy, he's a golf course architect, which I'll get into, but he's a club designer, the Schenectady putter, which we won the 04 the Open Amateur. He was a publisher, which he had American Golfer, which is at the time was a great golf publication. He sold it to Garland Rice, their famous writer. And then he got into renovations and architecture. And going to your question, what separates a Travis course from most other courses is that, one, the routing of the holes. Number 2 is the bunkers. He was noted as a really great designer of bunkers, and he termed them as hazards. So if you got into a bunker, you're going to be penalized. Not like you heard yesterday, he's going to put it in the bunker on whatever and then get out and get up. No, bunkers were hazard, and if you got out, that'd be fine. And then the green complex. His green complex is by far the most trickiest, subtle, undulating, greens that have. So he's known by 3 things. Plus, they had one more thing. He was a teacher. He taught Bobby Jones how to putt. Prior to that, and he had a meeting with him down at a court. I think it was Marion, in one of the amateurs, and he taught him how to putt. And after that, he went on to win several major champions, Bobby Jones. So he's really an interesting Renaissance guy. And he did Equonic. He's buried in Vermont, over in Manchester, and Equonic is like his favorite course. But he's known as Garden City on Long Men's Club. That's not his course. That was a Emmett, and Deborah.
Emmett, yeah.
But he tinkered with it.
I wanted
what
to
do you
just ask
think?
John a question because the first thing John just said, which I just wanted clarification on, John, when you said the routing of the course, do you mean like an outer 9 and an inner 9, or do you mean what do you mean by that?
I mean that the way the holes go around, we have a circular club. It's an out and then an in, front and out. But it's just the way the holes blend into each other. They're not
Yeah.
a lot of courses you see, and there's several courses here in the Capital Region. You go out one way, come back, out one way, come back. He put in different angles and different ways to capture.
Yep. Yeah, and I was just going to add, I mean, I haven't played nearly as many Travis courses outside of Troy as John has, but I've played a few and I visited a few. And I think what's amazing is the subtlety. You know, nothing is in your face when you drive into the course. And people come to Troy and they say, oh, they look at the scorecard, and depending on what tees they're playing, you know, oh, 6,200, 6,300 yards, I'm going to eat this place up. But, you know, it's the green complexes, the subtleness of the breaks, the smallish greens. Obviously, we have a lot of elevation changes at Troy, which you know, I guess back in that day it was quite the norm. But what he did and what he has done with just the natural topography of the land that was given to him, whereas today, you know, I think everybody goes in and just, you know, brings in the heavy equipment and designs whatever they want, wherever they want. It's really just amazing to see what he could do with a piece of land back in 1925. It's subtle, but once you played it a handful of times, you understand it's not as easy as it looks.
And what he did is Tom, you're right, is that the subtlety, he did not come in and blow things up. And he said, let's use what we have and make it better. But don't go in and make it, you know, blow it up and change it all around. Use the subtlety of the dirt and the trees and all that kind of stuff and work around that stuff.
Yeah,
I love that. I really do. I love that. So no, we saw in the earlier picture that there were no trees at all. I know that's not the case now. A lot of things have changed over there at the club.
Right.
What other significant changes has there been over the years besides a lot of trees?
Yeah. Luckily, not a lot of significant changes, and I'll hand it over to John. But that's one of the greatest things about our club is that there hasn't been a lot of significant changes other than trees growing.
All right.
I think just a couple points on that. Back in the 60s, mid 60s, there was a cause to put more trees and have trees shape the fairway. And in 1 year, I think it was 62, they put in 75 in the spring and 50 more trees in the fall. Thank God we've taken those out and a whole bunch more. So the trees. I think the other thing is that we're not a wealthy club. I think we don't have, we have great memberships we pay for, but we're not an affluent club. I don't want to say we're blue collar, but we're a course that is very comfortable to be in at any time. And back in the 50s and the 60s, what they wanted to do, and Tom will get a kick out of this, is that they wanted to do they wanted to take away the high holes. The high holes would be 10, 11, 9 in that complex. And they came back, this is in the 50s, and they said, thank you very much, but we don't have any money really to pursue this. So then in the 60s, mid to later 60s, they wanted to purchase more land to enhance the golf course. They had a committee, they studied it, and they came back and said, we don't have enough money. So by the mere fact we didn't have enough money, we have the truest Travis course out there, because a lot of the Travis courses have been redesigned, have been changed. Canoebrook down in Jersey, they had an interstate come through. Onondaset, they lost 5 holes over in Utica. Scranton lost 3 holes, which these are his. We didn't lose any holes, and we have the actual green complexes are maybe expanded, but they're identical. The only thing we did in the 50s on 8, it's a par 3, it's a killer par 3, and it has a turtleback mound in the center of the green with much undulation, and they took 2 feet off of that. in the 50s. So that's the only really, other than us putting more tee back, putting tees back farther, throwing a couple bunkers in where our architect Bruce Hepner advises us. That's really all we've done
All right.
to the complex.
Tom, how about in the near future? Are you guys any plans for the future to change the course around at all?
Yeah, I just want to go back to what John just said. I didn't realize
Sure.
they took 2 feet off the middle of 8 green. I can't even imagine what that must have been like.
No, that's crazy.
To this day, it's a crazy green. But
I'm looking forward to playing it. Is it still really tough?
Oh yeah. They got some.
Okay.
It's one of the tougher greens on the course, and depending on where they put the pin, I just can't even imagine. Well, when you come out and play it this year, you'll see. We'll point it out and we'll say, imagine this with 2 more feet of
Awesome.
elevation. But
What-
yeah, go ahead, John.
But I was just going to say, because being an old guy, I may forget it. Hepner, we had Hepner come in. Bruce Hepner, he's came out of Doak's shop, has his own firm, and he comes in and does the work for us. So he came in 2000, and he's given us a master plan, and we abide by that. But when he did hole by hole, he came to number 8. Now on 1, 2, he said, move this thing. On 6, move it, all this kind of stuff. And he said in bold headline, don't touch this hole. Yeah,
That's right.
funny.
There'd be nothing you have to do. Anthony, to answer your question, Bruce Hepner, we have come in, has the master plan each year. We tend to have a handful of things we can do off of that master plan. He comes back every couple of years, does some of the work himself. And, I think the work we do is to, we haven't had a lot of changes over the years, but we've had some subtle changes and trees put in the wrong place and that type of thing. So if anything, all we're doing with our improvements each year is trying to bring the course, as close to original as possible. And as John said, we don't have a lot of work to do that because it was never really changed much. But, certain fairway lines grow in further than they should have. And a couple bunkers have gotten replaced or redone over the years that probably shouldn't have. So we're just bringing those back. There's a couple more bunkers on the course that, have been, John, on 4 to the left of 4 and on the left of 9, he pointed out that, hey, there were 2 bunkers here. And then, you look at it and you go, God, there really was. You can see the indentation and you can see where it grew in. And we're just kind of trying to bring those things back slowly over time. And, as he always said, trees don't grow straight lines. So on a number of places throughout the course where all these, trees were planted, we're doing a great job of getting rid of those and bringing it back. But like John said, we've got to add tees. We've got to add some length just based on the game today. We're always seeming to add some tees, but we're also adding a lot of shorter tees. There's a big senior contingent and women's contingent at our club, and we want the tees, the course to play fair for them. So every year we probably add as many forward tees or rehab a lot of forward tees as much as we do the back tees. Yeah,
that's great. Grow the game, right? Tell me a little bit about the membership at Troy. Where a lot of the guys and men and women come from. Who do they compete with for? Who do you guys compete with for members? Things like that.
Sure. I'm going to go back to 2 different things John said a little while ago. Number 1, the membership is made up of successful middle class people from the area. Business owners, people who have good careers. It's not as affluent as some other clubs around the area, like a Schuyler Meadows or something like that. But it's hardworking people who, have done well for themselves. But with the exception of John, most of them come from this side of the river. John doesn't live on this side of the river anymore. He used to. But it's heavy Troy, heavy Rensselaer County, West Sand Lake, Averill Park. Of course, we have our fair share of members from the Loudonville, Latham area. So I guess we'd be in competition with the Roost primarily or Shaker Ridge down by the airport. But, I don't know, John, if you know the number, but it's probably 85 to 90% this side of the river, I would say.
I think you're right. Yes.
Yeah. And, it's primarily a golf club, but we have tennis and pool memberships for those that want to enjoy the country club without, being involved in golf. We've got a social membership where people who, aren't really interested in any of the activities, but like the atmosphere of the club and like the socialization of the club, they can be members and just take advantage of the restaurant and the bar and the porch and that type, and the beautiful setting that it is all year round. But the majority of people are there because it's a wonderful golf course and a wonderful golf club, and that's why I'm there, and that's why John's there. We certainly enjoy other areas of it, but you're just surrounded by a lot of your peers, which are hardworking, successful people that value that type of atmosphere.
What I did, what we did, the board did for a couple of years, is we did a membership survey, and we tried to look at various aspects, be it the pool, be it golf, tennis, the whole thing. And the number one had the most strongest feelings for is the social, casual dining aspect of the club. It's a very casual. We have a great porch and a great venue to overlook the 18th hole and the driving range in the first. So it's a really nice setting, and it's next to the pool and the tennis court. So there's a lot of mix. So in the summer nights, it gets a lot of play, and I think people love that. And before, you'd see a lot of it'd be more formal dining and more formal aspects. That has changed throughout the whole country, throughout the country club. So we capitalized on a very nice social, informal dining and events package that we offer.
Yeah, I love it over. I actually, we had our senior prom over there, so I had some fine memories over there at the country club back in 2000. Beautiful clubhouse and great food over there. Definitely good memories. But so any idea, John, of how many members that you've had since 1925 for 100 years now?
We tried to research that, and Patrick McCarthy, who's a stellar guy who's on the board, and to come up and try to figure out how many members over the course. I know I'm working on our Centennial book, so I've read a lot of the old minutes and the annual reports. Is that when we started, we were maxed out. We were maxed out of 350 golf members. You can have more than that, but it's 350 golf members. And we'd max out. Depression came, we lost that. The war came, the World War II came, then it went down. And then the 60s, we had a very good membership base. 70s, little decline. 80s was up and down. So a long way of saying I have no idea, but I would think we got to have just throwing it out. I mean, at one point over 10,000 members at some point have called themselves members of the country. People have called themselves members of the Country Club of Troy.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, John. I was just kind of doing some rough math, and 10,000 was a number I was just going to throw out, and I bet that's pretty accurate. And our Constitution states how many full memberships we can have, but Anthony, as John said, society norms have changed, and there's a lot of things going on today that people weren't doing 30, 40, 50 years ago, and travel sports and all of that. So we're usually somewhere between 280 and 300 total members, which is our sweet spot would probably be 320, 325, to make all the economics work without a lot of stress. We're in great shape financially. It's not easy. The board puts a lot of effort into it. The members are great. They're supportive, but it's a country club in upstate New York, and the weather is not always on our side, and it's a short season. So, we could always probably use an extra 20, 25 members and things would hum along perfectly, which, John, is probably a lot different than back in the 50s and 60s, I would imagine.
Yes.
Yeah, we're especially this year, man. We're getting a shorter season. It seems like every year our seasons are getting shorter. What's going on, man? Yeah, exactly. Is your opening date? What are you guys expecting?
We opened up 2.5 weeks ago.
Oh, you did. Oh, okay. So you did open up already. Okay.
Very soft opening.
Soft opening with, and then we had a snowstorm on. On Saturday, so
we opened the mid of March, which was early this time, but no carts. So that that limits the amount of play.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to give my sponsor a quick shout out, and then we're going to come back and talk a little about Eddie Schultz, and we're going to talk about the competitive events over at Troy and what goes on over there this summer. So just a quick ad. We'll be right back.
Is your swimming pool looking more like a pond these days? Don't sweat it. Swimming Pool Repair Experts has your back. Since 2000, Swimming Pool Repair Experts has been the trusted name for top-notch in-ground pool renovations across the greater capital region. From liner changes and pool bottom refinishing to plumbing repairs, opening, closings, and stunning upgrades like lighting, benches, stairs, and decks, Swimming Pool Repair Experts does it all. Their expert team is ready to bring your pool back to life so you can dive into some summer fun. Because what's better than taking a nice dip after a long round of golf? Get a hold of Jim over at Swimming Pool Repair Experts today at 518-858-2587. That's 518-858-2587. Or check his website out, swimmingpoolrepairexperts.com. And don't forget to tell Jim that you heard about him on the Upstate Golf Guys podcast for that extra discount.
All right, we are back. John, you wanted to talk a little bit about Eddie Schultz, and I was looking into him, and I was doing a little research on him, and man, this is awesome. Tell me a little bit about him.
Yeah, Eddie Schultz was born in 1899 in Cohoes. He was our first golf pro, and he also was our golf superintendent. He's known as the giant killer because what he's done, he's taken on in the 30s Tommy Armour, Walter Hagen, and a whole host of those. He is he is the second one from the left. The third one from the left is Tommy Armour, and that's Hagen on the far right. And this other chap, he was the pro at Colony, and he has he competed in the U.S. Open 8 times. He competed in the PGA Championship 10 times. He's won many New York State PGA events. Interesting thing is a course record. Our course record, 1935, was a 63. It's still the course record, but he had the course record at Troy, Rutland, Catskill, and Colony all in the same year, 1935.
Wow.
He was quite a stick, and he served as our first golf professional. And an interesting other fact is that we've only in 100 years only had 4 golf professionals.
Really?
In 100 years.
That's actually really interesting.
We've
That's
only
not
had
a
4.
lot.
There's another chap that I want to talk about, if you don't mind. It's a guy named Jesse Sweeter.
Okay.
Jesse Sweeter, if you Google him, he was in the 20s. He was like the stick, and he competed and won in our inaugural men's invitational, which started in 34. So he won it in 34. But if you go on his record, Sweeter, Yale guy, Wall Street guy, one of the best amateurs, was the first first American-born player to win the British Amateur. The first naturalized to win the British Amateur was Walter Travis.
Wow.
So there's a connection there. So Sweeter, and then he won that. Then he was on the first Walker Cup, and he went and won that 6-5. So this guy was just a wonderful player. What a charming looking guy. You can see 1920s Great Gatsby. I mean, just a really just looks golf. Looks nice.
Wow.
And so we've been going since 34 with our Indy. There was a time where we took a couple years off, didn't have it, and then we did some teams. But right now, I think it's Max Adler who is the He's the editor of Golf Digest. He won it 2 years ago, and he complimented us that we're one of the few courses that still contains their own invitational this long. And,
Awesome.
yeah.
So Tom, so we know Eddie Schultz was a good stick, Sweener, Walter Travis. How about nowadays? Does Troy have some pretty good sticks over there at the club?
I think we've always, first of all, I want to go back to Eddie Schultz. I just can't believe in this day and
Sure.
age that the course record still stands from the 1930s.
Unbelievable.
I mean, think about that with the advancement in the clubs and the golf ball and the condition of the course, quite honestly. Easier to putt on today's greens, at least from a smoothness standpoint, I'm sure, but that's just
Yeah.
amazing. But
It is.
you know, I've always I grew up in Troy. I've only been a member there 16 years, but you know, my dad was a member there when he was a kid, and I just always feel like Troy has been stacked with some really solid golfers over the years. I mean, you go back into the days of my dad being a young guy. My dad was a decent stick, but he was nothing like these guys. You know, you had Richie Syrian and EJ Cardish, who's still playing great golf into his early 70s, won many club championships, many Rensselaer County championships. Can say the same for Dave Moradian, who's been around the local golf scene for many, many years, longtime member. I think his entire life he's been a member. You know, Jimmy Sullivan, Jack Downey. I could go on and on and on. I could go current day, Ben Rubley. I could go back 40, 50 years. Great golfers have always come out of Troy, and I think it's because of what we talked about earlier. I mean, if you can putt at Troy, you can putt just about anywhere, and I think that's what guys have proven over the years. It's huge. It's huge
For sure. So, what kind of events do you have over there planned for this summer? I know you have a big event, right? You have a mid-am, right?
Yeah, we've got the mid-am
September.
at end of September. You know, the New York State Golf Association approached us earlier in the year through a couple of our members. I think Jack Downey was one of the guys that was having some early conversations with them. And the interesting thing is the New York State men's mid-am was at Schuyler Meadows last year. And when we first started talking about it, we were thinking, hey, we won't get that because they always like to move it geographically throughout the state, never stay in the same area 2 years in a row. So we said, hey, maybe we'll get the seniors or maybe we'll get the junior or something like that. And they came back to us and they said, you know, we've loved our relationship with Troy over the years. We know it's your centennial. You know, would you be open if we made an exception? Would you be open to hosting the men's mid-am? And we said, of course, that would be unreal to host a tournament like that during our centennial. So that's the last weekend in September. So that's going to be a big deal for us. As John just said, we've got 2 invitationals this year. We've got the singles, which is, you know, the real deal. People come from all over the country to play in that. And we're going to have a little centennial, you know, flavor for that, little centennial theme, of course. We've got the team invitational, which has just grown in popularity since we've been doing it for the last decade or so. Sells out every year. That's as fun, but maybe a little less serious event. 2-man teams. There's a gross division and there's net division.
Less serious is a good word. Yeah.
Yes. Less serious, but hugely popular, John.
And very competitive. Very competitive.
And competitive. Yes. But it's not the grind of the individual. And we got people that play in both for sure, but the individual one is the big one. So we've got those tournaments, and then we got a couple, you know, anything we have during the year. We've got our member in July. We'll have a centennial theme for that. The day after our porch opener in May, so our opener's on May 16th that I talked about earlier. On May 17th, we're doing a 9-hole Hickory Sticks Scramble. So we are doing a 9-hole scramble, make your own foursome. Each foursome gets a bag of literal hickory sticks, replicas modeled after, you know, the clubs from 100 years ago.
Awesome.
The balls that probably, you know, you can drive maybe 100 yards or who knows. But we're going to do that, which I think will be fun. People
Are you going to get any like media or video of that? I would love to see that, man.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Awesome.
we'll have fun. Yeah, encouraging
Awesome.
people to, you know, dress in period attire, which I'm sure some
That's
will.
great.
sure, but that'll be a fun event on that kind of opening weekend that we talked about.
Absolutely. You got to get them dressed up in those knickers like you see in this
Right.
this picture right here, right? Yeah. Just like that.
John can break out a couple of his old pair for back in the day.
Let's go.
I want to just go back. What Tommy talked about is that on some events, when the Open was out in LA, we did one of the first round qualifiers for it. So what was that, 2 years ago or 3 years ago? I don't know.
I think 3.
3 years ago. And we had, it was a stack field, and the final score was 4 under. So when you look at our card, it's 66-63 is when we push it back to the backside. So they're going to look at that and say, okay, that's fine. But everything's 100 yards in. And I think then the next one, it was won by a chap out of Australia. And then the next there were 2 evens, and then it went to 2 over and 3 over. So that's, I think, a testament to our course, is that it doesn't, on paper, it doesn't look like it's going to kill you, but you can, if you're not in the right position on your second shot going in, and if you're in that wrong position, it's easy to make a bogey or a double. And I can attest to that.
It would be a triple, probably a triple for me.
Yeah.
I'm a 15. I'm a 15-5 on my tour, so I'll keep up with you guys. But go ahead, Tom.
I was just going to say, I think we had a last chance qualifier last year for the Skylar Men's Mid-Am. We had a last chance qualifier the week of, people trying to get into that. And I don't even know if the people, was it even or maybe +1 for the last chance?
No, I remember. Yes. Yeah, it was in the plus side. It wasn't
on the plus side to make it to play over at Skylar, which is pretty amazing. So
wow.
Yeah,
man, that's tough. That's a tough course, man. So John, I know this is off the Troy topic, but I want the listeners to know, I know you've played some amazing courses throughout your life. Just tell the listeners a few of the amazing courses you've played.
Well, I've been blessed, because this started 25, 30 years ago. It was after a night of working on it, let's put it that way. And a buddy from California, I said, let's see if we can how can we play the most, in 1 year, the most top 10 courses? And we bet at $100, whoever would do it. So I used to work with a great firm, and we had a lot of monies that we give to third-party groups, charity groups. And a lot of these great courses they'll do a charity outing. So that if you want to get on courses, you can spend some money, but that's one way to do it. So, and I work for a firm that was a national firm. So we had colleagues throughout the country. So I was just they were either a member of these great courses, or you knew someone. So it's just by happenstance. I've been blessed. I don't mean to be, but of the top 100, on and off, I'm probably in the 80s playing it. And the nicest thing is that you did it, and people, and they invite you on to play. So I've been blessed with a lot of the great courses. There was one time, excuse me, there was an event for probably a decade where we'd play Pinehurst we'd fly down and play Pinehurst on a Monday. So you get there Sunday and you play Mid Pines or something like that, and then play Pinehurst 2, Pinehurst 1, Pinehurst 8, that kind of stuff, and then come back, and then I'd have an event at Pebble. So I for over a decade I had just the stupidest wonderful, that I'd play one weekend at Pinehurst, and then the next weekend I'd be at playing Pebble Beach. So that's great. Then there were a lot of fundraisers. I was a lobbyist, so there's a lot of fundraisers, and they'd have them at these wonderful venues. So I've been really blessed. I'm happy I did it. Sometimes I get embarrassed because of all the golf courses that have an opportunity. And I'm going to play Oakland Hills. I'm going to play that this summer. Looking forward to that. Yeah. So it's just, And a friend of mine, when I retired, I took I had a whole set of golf balls, and I didn't need them anymore. So I said, I don't need them. I'll give it to you. And then I redid this office downstairs in my basement, and I had to go back sheepishly and say, Patrick McCarthy, can I have those golf balls back, please? So I got a set of, four trays of golf balls that I have. So, but it's been it's been a lot of fun to play these tracks and just see how tough they are and how fun they are.
Absolutely. Oh man, I'm jealous. I love this game so much, and that's amazing to hear some of the courses you played. So cool, so cool.
Yeah.
I like to ask guys, like my guest. I have a couple questions, golf questions. They're just simple questions. Favorite club in the bag, Tom? What's your favorite club in the bag?
Whew. My favorite club in the bag is probably my 56-degree wedge. I don't carry a 60. I sometimes carry a 52, but I'm a pitcher wedge 56. I either open it up or I close it a little bit, and it's my utility club all around the green. That's kind of my strength, and
Nice.
I put that in my hands. It feels like it's part of me.
Nice. John, how about you?
Putter.
Favorite club?
Putter.
Putter.
I feel great. I just feel comfortable on that I'm putting.
Do you use a mallet or a blade?
I use a mallet. I use the 2-ball mallet, which I'm looking to change, but it sets me up nice. I have a real thick grip, so my shoulders don't. I have a tendency to move a little bit too much, so this kind of keeps me in the pendulum. But the putt, I always feel like I can make a putt.
Nice.
I don't, but I always feel like I can.
I have this putting green in my studio here that I sit here and I'll take 50 to 100 putts a night. I swear to God, and I just try to get that stroke done. It's so important. It's the most important part of the game. It really is. I mean, it's you're going to putt the most in a round for sure. All right, last question for you guys, and then we'll close this thing out. You could golf with any 3 golfers, dead or alive. History of the game. Tom, you first.
Anybody throughout the history of the game?
Yep. Anybody.
Well, I would definitely say Tiger Woods. I'm a huge Tiger Woods fan, like a lot of people. Growing up as a kid, I was a big Shark fan. Greg Norman, he was my favorite. I know he's not a fan favorite these days based on his, live stuff. But back growing up in the late '80s, early '90s, he was the man at number one. And who else would I add to that group? Oof. I think I'd probably have to add. I'd take Arnold Palmer over Jack Nicklaus. I just, man of the people, Arnie's Army. Just always something about him. Every time I watch him, I just kind of sometimes get choked up just even watching him play. And
man.
People that he had following,
I mean, Masters weekend. All I'm doing is watching, old interviews and man, I was watching a Spieth interview and about his 2015 win and. It was the last year that Arnie was alive, and he said it was just the dinner was truly special. It just became his night, and he just kind of accepted that, and he's always going to remember that. And it was really a special episode, just hearing about how everybody just thought so highly of Arnie. And just what a great man.
Right.
John, how about you? Who's your foursome?
I would do Arnie too. I think he's just a classy guy, wonderful guy. I would do Annika. I would love to play with Annika. I think she's just a great ambassador to the game. And then probably Seve.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Because I'm all over the place, and he was all over the place. I could maybe learn a couple things from him. But
I like it.
But Seve, I think, was just he was taken out too early and just a wonderful. And the great line about Seve, I think it was Seve. Someone asked him, how did he make a 7 on that hole? And he says, I miss a putt, I miss a putt, I miss a putt, I make a putt.
Good answer. All right, Florida Mike, you haven't said much tonight. Who is your foursome of any past players? Who are you going to play with, man?
Tiger Woods, obviously. I grew up watching him. Bobby Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm a lefty, so Man, probably have to go with Phil Mickelson because I love the short game.
Okay.
I'm like Tom down there with the favorite club being a wedge. Like that's awesome.
There you go.
And then man,
Tom Farnan.
it sounds good. I like Jack Nicklaus.
That's
Give
right.
give me some putting tips.
There you go. There you go. All right. Hey, guys, this truly was an amazing night. I've been looking forward to this.
Anthony, you got to say yours. You can't.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You put me on the spot. Well, it's definitely Tiger. I think I would go with John Daly, guys. You're going to laugh. I just think he'd be a ball. He'd be a blast. He'd be fun to play with. Jeez. I think, you know what? I think I'd go with Rory after his latest Masters, putting on the jacket. And I didn't like the guy for a while just because, I just thought he was a little whiny. But now I was actually rooting for him yesterday, and I was happy to see him, get that burden off his shoulder and finally win it, man. It was a tough run for him. So I would play with that group, and then I would watch Tiger and Rory kind of talk crap to each other, and that would be fun to watch. And me and JD would just be hanging back and having fun. But that would be my foursome probably.
I followed John Daly for 2 years at the PNC Championship because it's right down the street from me.
Yeah.
Okay.
You would love that round. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He is awesome.
He plays with his son there, right? That's the father's son, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's a good stick too. His kid there he's coming on up now too. So
incredible. That kid's 19, 18 years old, already drives the ball like 330.
Yeah. Well, look at his dad. But all right, guys. All right, now I'll close it out. It was an amazing night. But Tom, I want you to tell all the listeners and everybody that's going to be listening to this podcast where they could find you and how they could join the club.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we have a good social media presence on Facebook and Instagram, Country Club of Troy. That's Megan Fitzgerald helps us with that. She's a member that helps us with all of our media, marketing, social media. So that's probably the easiest spot you can pick us up. And if you go on there, we're actually hosting an open house on May 9th. So just a couple weeks away. We open up the club to whoever wants to come by. They can, let us know ahead of time. We can make sure they want to play 9 holes. They want to, stick around for some drinks and dinner. We just open the club to everybody because I think, Anthony, I know you haven't played it, but you've been on the property. And I think once you're on the property, especially on a nice, late spring or early summer night, you get a feel for the place. And we just invite everybody out to check it out. And like I said, we're 280, 300 members most of the time. We're looking for more, and it's a special place. So a lot of times people think it might be out of reach or it might be, more than they can spend. We got lots of different membership categories, and we'd love to just sit down and go over them with them. We got Carrie Harkins, our clubhouse manager, and she's in charge of membership, and she give a tour of the place and just walk everybody through it. And I think we got a lot of members now that are probably surprised that, it was as affordable and doable, more doable than they thought. So always open to that. But May 9th, go on Instagram, Facebook. You can find us and get connected.
Awesome, Tom.
Yeah. Thanks, Anthony.
Can't thank you enough. And then John, I can't thank you enough for the history that you gave me for the club. It was really a pleasure having you gentlemen on, and I really look forward to playing around with you guys. John
Yes.
said that he could get me on to play with. I want to play with you guys. I want to play with John and Tom. I don't want to play with anybody else. So
No, we'll play.
yeah, I want to play with you boys. So I'm looking forward to it.
July 10th.
What's that?
It's a July 10th. That's all.
He is. Florida Mike is flying in to play a golf week AM tour event that weekend. So maybe it is a Friday, a Thursday night. He's coming up. So if nothing's going on that Friday at the club, but we'll see what happens. Make it happen. All right.
Make it happen. Yes.
All right. Florida Mike's a good stick. He won a national championship down there for the golf week tour, so he's pretty solid. And
hey, Mike, you're right. It's you and me, Mike. Okay.
Love it.
Let's go. I love it.
Do it. That'd be great.
Thanks again, gentlemen. Have a great night, and thank you everybody for tuning in to this special episode of the Upstate Golf Guys podcast. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you very much.
See you.
birdie par, bogey fly. Swing that club, watch it sky. Lombardi putter shine so clean. Golfing addicts chasing the green. Upstate golf guys, that's the vibe. Golf and laughs keep us alive. Tune in now, don't you see? Podcast legends, it's Anthony and me.